Hello everyone, and welcome to Scary Story. Tonight, I want you to find a quiet, dimly lit room. Settle in, get comfortable, and let the outside world fade away. What you're about to hear happened not too long ago, in a place not so different from your own town. It's a story about a sound, a whisper, that started as a curiosity and ended as a living nightmare. It all began for Liam on a Tuesday night. He was a graphic designer, often working late into the quiet hours when inspiration struck. His apartment was on the third floor of an old but well-kept building, the kind with thick walls and creaky floorboards that had their own stories to tell. That night, a storm was brewing outside. Rain tapped a gentle rhythm on his window pane, and the wind sighed through the eaves. It was the perfect atmosphere for focus. Around 2 a.m., as he was putting the finishing touches on a logo, he heard it. It was faint, almost lost beneath the sound of the rain. A whisper. It was indistinct, like hearing a conversation from another room, muffled and unclear. He paused, pulling off his headphones. The apartment was silent, save for the storm. He shrugged it off. All buildings make strange noises. The pipes gurgle, the wood settles. He chalked it up to the wind playing tricks on him and went back to work. The next night, it happened again. Same time, around 2 a.m. This time, there was no storm, only the deep silence of a sleeping city. The whisper was clearer. It sounded like a single, drawn-out word, but he couldn't make it out. It was a sibilant, hissing sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. He got up and walked through his small apartment. He checked the hallway. Empty. He pressed his ear against the walls he shared with his neighbors. Nothing. A chill, colder than the night air, trickled down his spine. This wasn't the building settling. This was something else. Night after night the whisper returned, always at the same time. It became a dreadful ritual. Liam would find himself watching the clock, his heart starting to pound as 2 a.m. approached. The whisper grew in intensity. It was no longer a single, unintelligible word. Now it was a phrase repeated over and over. Can you hear me? The voice was raspy, dry, like autumn leaves scraping across pavement. It was impossible to tell if it was male or female. It just was. Can you hear me? The question echoed in the silent apartment, a phantom sound that his recording devices couldn't pick up. He tried to capture it on his phone, but all he got was static. He was the only one who could hear it. Sleep became a stranger. Dark circles formed under his eyes. His work suffered. During the day, he felt foolish, paranoid. But as night fell, the familiar dread would creep back in. He started talking back to it, first in a shaky voice, then in an angry shout. Who are you? What do you want? The only answer was the same relentless question. Can you hear me? One night, desperation pushed him to try something new. He had read about electronic voice phenomena, or EVP, and decided to use a white noise generator. The theory was that spirits could manipulate the static to form words. As the clock ticked past 1:59 a.m., he turned on the app, and the soft hiss of static filled the room. He sat on his couch, tense, waiting. 2 a.m. The whisper came, but this time it was different. It seemed to latch onto the white noise, twisting it, shaping it. The sound was no longer just in his head. It was coming directly from his phone speakers, and the words had changed. I can see you. Liam's blood ran cold. He stared at his phone, then slowly lifted his gaze, scanning the dark corners of his living room. The windows were black mirrors reflecting his own terrified face. I can see you. The voice was clearer now, closer. He could almost feel a cold breath on the back of his neck. He leapt up, his chair clattering to the floor, and backed away until he hit the opposite wall. The whisper continued, growing more conversational, more sinister. You look so scared, Liam. I like it when you're scared. It knew his name. A wave of pure, undiluted terror washed over him. This wasn't a ghost in the machine or a trick of the mind. This was personal. He spent the next few days in a haze of fear. He couldn't be in his apartment after dark. He stayed at a friend's place, making up excuses about a gas leak. But the whisper followed. It was fainter, a distant echo in the back of his mind. But it was there. Come home, Liam. I miss you. He knew he couldn't run from it. He had to face it. Armed with a heavy flashlight and a new resolve born of exhaustion, he returned to his apartment. He felt like a fool, but he methodically went through every room, every closet, every possible hiding spot. He checked the vents, the crawl spaces, everything. The apartment was empty and secure. That night, he didn't wait for 2 a.m. He sat in the center of the living room, the lights blazing, and he spoke into the silence. "I'm not afraid of you. Show yourself." For a long time, there was nothing. The clock ticked past 2, then 2:15. A sliver of hope began to grow in Liam's chest. Maybe it was over. Maybe his defiance had worked. He let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. And then it came. Not a whisper, but a clear, solid voice right behind him. "But I'm not in the room, Liam." He froze, every muscle in his body locking up. The voice was no longer raspy or distant. It was smooth, calm, and chillingly intimate. It was the kind of voice you'd hear from a friend, a confidant. "I've been with you all along," the voice continued, a hint of amusement in its tone. "Ever since you first heard me, you welcomed me in. You listened. You gave me your attention. And that's all I needed." Liam couldn't turn around. He was paralyzed by a fear so profound it felt physical. He could feel a presence behind him, a weight in the air that hadn't been there before. "You don't need to see me," the voice said, its tone dropping to a soft conspiratorial whisper that tickled his ear. "Because from now on, you'll never be alone again. We're going to be the best of friends. We'll share everything, your thoughts, your fears, your life." A cold, slender finger traced a line down his spine. Liam let out a choked sob. The lights in the apartment flickered once, twice, and then went out, plunging the room into absolute darkness. The only thing left was the sound of the whisper, no longer coming from the corners of the room or from his phone, but from inside his own head, laughing softly. Liam was never seen by his friends or colleagues again. The police investigated his disappearance, finding his apartment unlocked and empty, with a phone on the floor still emitting a soft, hissing static. His neighbors told them he'd been quiet, but they'd sometimes hear him late at night, seemingly talking to himself. Or, as one elderly woman on the floor below described it, it sounded like he was having a very one-sided argument. Sometimes late at night, when the building is quiet, new tenants in his old apartment say they can hear something. A faint sound, carried on the air, a desperate, pleading whisper, repeating the same question over and over again. "Can you hear me?" Thank you for listening to Scary Story. If you enjoyed this tale, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss our next journey into the dark. Until then, sleep well, if you can.